Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality and Trade Price Cars.
Putting in such a fantastic performance yesterday. Alongside her on the grid, Tuto Motorsports young charge Aaron Walker, who is definitely looking stronger than ever before here this weekend. Second row of the grid, it is Ian Aguilera, who won on his debut in the championship yesterday after an absolutely fantastic run. Finished up in second position. Then we have, second row of the grid, I should say. Then alongside him, Josh McLean. And then on the third row will be Ivan Lomliev, tied for the lead of the championship with Josh Rowledge, who starts just behind him. And then Rashan Chigarimbo. But away we go. And it's a cracking start right from the off as Josh Rowledge gets himself up towards the sharp end. Aaron Walker and Jessica Edgar into second and third position. Now, interestingly, I am not so sure they're going to go round for a new formation lap. Yes, I thought so. So that was judged to be a false start. And that's interesting because the grid I've got in front of me sees that Josh Rowledge should actually be starting the race from 7th position on the grid. That's the grid I've got in front of me, although I wonder if that's been adjusted since the start of proceedings, because that might be a new grid I've got in front of me. Well, yes, it now shows that Josh Rowledge is on pole from Aaron Walker, then Jess Edgar and Ian Aguilera from Josh McLean, Ivan Lomliev and Rashan Chigarimbo. So I wonder if that exclusion yesterday might have been overturned for Josh Rowledge, because he now finds himself starting at the front end of the grid. Based on the pace yesterday from Josh Rowledge, he looks set to take the lead of the championship here, Kai, and he was very, very strong yesterday.
Yeah, with the points he's racking up, starting on first in the final one, hopefully he can do well in final two as well. He needs to get a good finish in this one and finish well in final two, racking up the points for the championship, hopefully winning it.
So here we go, it's a cracking getaway, and this time it is a clean start, and right up the inside, straight in there comes Ian Aguilera to move up into third position off the start. So Rowledge, Walker, then it is Edgar, who has tried to get in there with McLean and Aguilera, but Aguilera is into third position straight away early doors. So a really exciting start to proceedings and a cracking getaway from the off. And as they come into Bruno chicane for the first time, it is Rowledge from Walker, then Aguilera. And in fourth position, that looks like Ivan Lomliev. They seem to have found a little bit more speed than they had yesterday, which is very good news indeed. They certainly needed to find it. So it's been a very exciting battle to start us off with. But this is going to be a very, very intense competition. And I think all the drivers know what's at stake here as they come through that long straight into the first corner once again, through Park and up towards Cafe. Josh Rowledge in front of Aaron Walker and Ian Aguilera tussling away for position. Lomliev in fourth place. Then it's McLean, Edgar and Chigarimbo. Chigarimbo really struggling for pace so far this weekend, but he seems to have a little bit more underneath him this time, and he's going to have to work incredibly hard to keep up that sort of speed. But the way Aaron Walker has been developing thus far this weekend, definitely looking much stronger, although this time he has dropped into fourth position because that is both Aguilera and Lomliev making their way through.
The leaders have been pulling a small gap through the first two laps. So let's see Chigarimbo work as hard as he can with a little bit more power today, see if he can pull it back to the top three.
So There's going to be a lot of hard work for these guys to do, and they know what's at stake here. They're going to have to push very hard in this early stage. Second position now is Ian Aguilera, and he's pushing after Josh Rowledge in his opening weekend of a campaign in Mini X30. Ian Aguilera, the Mexican, is having an absolutely terrific weekend. Took a victory in the heat in the second race yesterday, of course, in only his second ever Super 1 start in Mini X30. Now he is battling Josh Rowledge for the victory in the race, and he is continuing to be a bit of a thorn in the side of these guys. Edgar's still there in third position now. Fourth place, that is Ivan Lomliev from Chigarimbo and Walker, with Josh McLean dropping to seventh position. Not entirely sure what's happened to his pace. Started very strong over the course of the weekend, but here in Final 1, already things are looking a little bit awkward. And here we are at the front end of the field. Edgar's found that ultimate speed again, and he's tucking up behind Ian Aguilera as Josh Rowledge leads the way. Really fascinating to watch this sort of pace. And Aaron Walker seems to have tumbled away now down to seventh position, even behind Josh McLean. Both of those guys really struggling in the early stages. Lomliev and Chigarimbo, they had very difficult pace yesterday, but overnight, Kai, they seem to have found something.
Yeah, as we've been focusing on the front, Chigarimbo's been making his way up to fifth place, slowly chipping away at the time that the leaders have pulled. And also Ian Aguilera looking like a very sharp contender for the championship.
He's certainly looking very good for the second day of action here at Shenington. Yesterday, with his second ever race, taking a victory. I'm not sure anybody really expected him to be in a position to do so, but now he is at the front, and Jessica Edgar's got through as well. Josh Rowledge down to third. So it is Aguilera in the lead from Edgar in second, Rowledge in third, and he's absolutely determined to fight his way back today. Lomliev in fourth, so the two drivers tying for the points tally in the TDI Media Cup. Rowledge and Lomliev absolutely dead level on points coming into this weekend, but now it looks like Jessica Edgar has got into the lead of the race. Her weekend has been absolutely phenomenal, and Jessica Edgar, she's always been towards the sharp end, but this weekend she really has stepped up a gear, and I guess that is what counts of getting a couple of good weekends in terms of testing. I mean, she has done one of the club rounds here and did very well on that occasion, so she knows this place very well. Josh Rowledge now trying to have another look at Ian Aguilera. Meanwhile, there's an absolute squabble going on for the four behind as McLean has moved up to fourth place now. Lomliev puts his hand in the air as if to say, come on, this is not going well. And basically he has a bit of an issue with Josh McLean there, but I'm not entirely sure what he's supposed to have done. But McLean made the move there on Lomliev into the first corner. Edgar is your leader, Aguilera second, Rowledge third, McLean fourth, then it's Lomliev, Walker and Chigarimbo. Really exciting battle, but the warning flag goes to Josh McLean, so clearly Lomliev might have had a point.
Yeah, I think Lomliev and McLean still have a bit of stick against each other from what happened on the last lap at Local. I think it was a clean move from Lomliev, but let's just see what happens in this race.
So it will be a very interesting battle as across the line they come again. And Jess Edgar has come through to the lead once again from Ian Aguilera. Josh Rowledge in third. And this is going to be a very interesting tussle as McLean has now dropped Lomliev, Walker and Chigarimbo. They're being left to their own devices there in 5th, 6th and 7th as they continue to squabble away for position. So the battle getting very interesting in the early stages of proceedings. They're continuing to keep that pace and that tempo sky high. So they will continue that sort of speed and that sort of pace as they continue to make progress. The battle getting much more strong as things continue to progress, but they're having to work very hard indeed out there to continue that tempo because the top four drivers are very quickly getting away, and this is not something that they are going to be keen on watching. 6 minutes 42 plus the additional lap. Edgar, Aguilera and Rowledge have broken clear now. Fourth place McLean, he's dropped the other three. Chigarimbo's now come to the front of that field. Chigarimbo really was hoping for a better weekend than this, having scored more points than anyone else in the championship class. Last time out at Raura, I think he would have been wanting a much stronger weekend than this, but it's the Fusion pair that have gone out in front and really demonstrated. Jessica Edgar and Ian Aguilera, and Josh Rowledge is basically the only one able to spoil their party at the moment.
Yeah. What Joshua McLean has to do, it's at this moment it's a race against the clock, and he has to try and hit in perfect laps to catch up with the top three. Hopefully they can start battling. That is what Joshua McLean is hoping, so he can get some time on them.
Well, I think you're absolutely right there, Kai, and that's exactly what's happening. These three are starting to back into each other. Josh Rowledge may not want to play the patient game for much longer. We've got the Virtual Championship points just in front of us on the timing screen here from Tag Heuer, and it shows at the moment that if things were to stay as they were, Josh McLean would move into second in the Drivers' Championship. Now, this is going to be a very important one for Ivan Lomliev. He does not want to see Josh McLean take over the advantage in the points, because Chigarimbo had obviously made up big grounds last time. Aaron Walker and Jessica Edgar obviously wanting to get as many points in the bag as possible, but a victory for Edgar definitely strengthens her stronghold in the championship fight, as Rowledge has now split them. Rowledge has split the two Fusion karts, and that helps him extend that lead in the championship to 8 points if it were to stay as it is over Josh McLean. Now, this is a very important moment for Josh Rowledge. He could get the victory if he stays in position. He's going to get second. So Jess Edgar hanging on to that lead for the moment, but Rowledge needs to exert patience. He's already had a very tough weekend at the office, but with Ivan Lomliev down in 7th place, this is just about the worst case scenario for the Bulgarian.
Yeah, top 3 championship, very close in points. Any of them can win the championship looking from this round. We'll have to see from the other round, see if someone can extend the lead or it keeps battling. But as we come around the first corner, it's still a squabble between the 3. But Ian Aguilera is still keeping his lead.
So with Lomliev down in 7th position, trying to make his way forward, Aaron Walker's got back through on the inside at turn 1 at Rushen Chigarimbo. Very good move. We've got heavy clouds coming in. Track temperature is about 21 degrees, because it'll be about a degree or so more than the air temperature. Dry for the moment, but those clouds are coming in thick and fast, and there is a potential ominous threat of rain through the day. So these guys will want to get on with things very, very sharply. But this is going to be a very intriguing end to the race and a very tough battle. 3 minutes 48 on the clock, plus 1 lap as Edgar desperately tries to hang on, but Rowledge tucks in on the inside of Park Bend and gets that lead. So a good move there from Josh Rowledge as he moves into the lead of the race here at Shenington. Through Cafe Corner they come in the battle for 5th position. Chigarimbo in front of Walker and Lomliev. A frustrating day at the office thus far, as Lomliev drops back to 7th again, with Walker taking that place in the move. So Rowledge is in the lead from Edgar in 2nd position, Aguilera in 3rd. So it is Strawberry, Fusion, Jade, Coles and Kato at the moment, as things continue to battle in the Mini X30 class. Really exciting racing, despite the fact it's the smallest grid we have, Kai. But these guys always come up and give a good show.
It's a small grid, but very intense battle. Very close between top 3. I think Josh McLean has definitely secured 4th unless something drastic happens.
Oh, sorry, Kai. Rowledge is down to 3rd again. So Rowledge has been taken by Edgar, and the door was left open clearly, as Aguilera found a way to get through as well. So Rowledge dropping to 3rd position there, half a second away from Edgar. So I didn't see the move, but that's a very dramatic moment and difficult one for Rowledge. But he needs to stay focused here, because 3rd position is still a great place to be when you consider that McLean is behind him and will still be 6 points back at the end of this race. And Lomliev is down in 7th, and that will mean, of course, that Lomliev will drop to 3rd in the points. And they were tying coming into this weekend, don't forget. 92 gets the warning flag. That is Chigarimbo, as Aguilera has taken the lead. So Ian Aguilera has got back in front. The Mexican, obviously no team orders over at Fusion. Jessica Edgar running 6th in the standings, and Ian Aguilera hoping to put himself on the championship board for the first time. So he's got absolutely no problem at all gunning for the big ones, and he's going to try and make his move here at Bruno Chicane to hold off his teammate Jessica Edgar, who is really having a great weekend so far. Josh Rowledge in 3rd, McLean in 4th, and still these 3 battle out of the Bruno Chicane, and it's Aaron Walker who's at the front of that trio as well. Walker just seems to have so much bad luck in this class. I was really, really hoping to see him on the top step of the podium today. We could still see it, of course, in the second final, but he just doesn't seem to get the breaks for some reason. Here come the 2 Fusion drivers once again. Ian Aguilera in front of Jess Edgar, from Rowledge in 3rd, McLean in 4th, and then these 3, Walker hanging on in front of Chigarimbo and Lomliev. But Ian Aguilera may be about to win his first final in only his first attempt to do so. He only had 2 heats yesterday. He won 1 of them. Back in front, though, Jess Edgar takes the advantage, and Jess Edgar moves back into that 1st position, probably at the best possible moment.
I'm guessing the only thing Fusion want their drivers to do is race.
Yeah, Absolutely, there's no team orders there, and with neither of the two drivers in first or second position currently in the battle for the championship points lead, then as far as they're concerned, they couldn't care less about Rowledge. So it's Aguilera versus Edgar for the lead, and Edgar is your leader, but as they continue to trade places, Rowledge is able to get closer once more. McLean is in such a difficult position here in fourth place. He's basically in no man's land. He can't really do anything about it. He's got nobody to work with him because these three have fallen such a long way back, battling with each other. He's 2 seconds off the back of Jess Edgar, so he's not close enough really to get involved in this battle. He could be on the podium easily, but he just can't make up that deficit.
What Rowledge needs to do at this point, he's sitting in third, so he just needs to see where the front two are weakest at points and then attack them when they're weakest.
Especially if those two are still racing. If they're going to battle for position, then one of them is eventually going to cause a bit of an error, and they will end up losing ground. But into the final lap we go. Aguilera has taken, penultimate lap we go. Aguilera is back in front of Edgar, and that has forced Edgar to drop back into the clutches of Rowledge. Now, this is where McLean could be rewarded here, because he has gained a good half a second on the leaders as a result of that little moment of change of lead. So Aguilera's got through. Rowledge is trying to take on Jess Edgar, but Aguilera is trying to break clear. Now, look, McLean has suddenly got that initiative. He's been looking after his tyres, no doubt, and now has a bit of a second chance. He may get an opportunity to come back into this.
Good thing about being in fourth with a bit of a gap. On the last lap, the front three are going to be battling, so that's where he's going to gain most of his time, and then he needs to join in with the battling, see if he can gain some track position.
Last lap, here we go. Edgar hanging on in front of Rowledge and trying to hold up. McLean is definitely gaining ground. Big star now. McLean is only 6/10 off the back of Josh Rowledge. Meanwhile, Chigarimbo's hit the front of their little dogfight. Walker in 6th place, Lomliev in 7th position. As the leaders come up towards the Bruner chicane for the final time, it's going to be very close between them, but Aguilera's got an absolutely massive lead out front, as Rowledge has got himself in a 2nd place on the last lap in front of Edgar, and that has backed them both into the clutches of McLean, although he's not quite close enough to make the final lunge. So into the final hairpin, Ian Aguilera, the Mexican, is going to become a winner in the finals in 2018. A brilliant drive from Aguilera. He gets the victory from Josh Rowledge in 2nd and Jess Edgar in 3rd in front of Josh McLean. So that is damage limitation for Rowledge. He now holds a virtual championship lead of 8 points over Josh McLean, with Lomliev now an amazing 13 points back, considering that they were dead level coming into the weekend. So it's Aguilera from Rowledge, Edgar, McLean, Chigarimbo, Walker and Lomliev. Very exciting first race from the X30 Minis there, though. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue on into the second final, Kai.
Yeah, very great driving by all the drivers in the first final. It's literally a qualifying for the second final. Let's see what happens in the second. Anything could happen.
So great racing from the Mini X30s. We're going to move on next to the Iami Cadets, and it's obviously going to be an incredible battle. So far, so good for Will McIntyre, who's making great inroads into Arvid Lindblad's championship advantage. His teammate Max Dodds is right behind him on the grid, but there's one driver they've all got to be wary of, and that's the Gladiator, Maximus Hall, starting on the 2nd row of the grid. This could be interesting.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality and Trade Price Cars.
A full Iami Cadet rundown of the starting grid. It's going to be a very interesting battle after yesterday. Will McIntyre really stepped up his game and had a particularly strong run over the course of yesterday's heats here at Shenington. Arvid Lindblad in 2nd position alongside him, still very much the form man and leading the championship coming into this weekend. But Maximus Hall alongside Max Dodds, that's going to be a really exciting battle. The number 93, Maximus Hall's been really strong all weekend. Harley Keeble and Vinnie Phillips there, who won the kit bag this morning on the Drivers' Parade on the 3rd row of the grid. Leo Robinson and Luke Watts, who's been having a really, really strong run throughout most of this weekend too. Alfie Baxter Davies, who's leading the club championship here, of course, and Archie Clark, who's had a really strong strong weekend, and the youngster has put himself firmly into the top 10 for the first time in a final grid. Fionn McLaughlin and Sam Shaw, the Strawberry teammates. Sam Shaw really frustrated yesterday with that first race, getting a puncture while battling for the victory, but then fighting back to a sensational victory in yesterday's second race. Really great to see him fight back. He goes off the 6th row alongside his Irish teammate Fionn McLaughlin. Oliver Wright and Aidan Neate making an all-fusion 7th row of the grid. Good to see Aidan Neate fighting back from his back of the grid start. Freddie Slater down on the 8th row of the grid, having had 2 laps added to his race yesterday in the second heat after a very difficult battle. Ashton Hodgson will line up alongside him. Charlie Rippin and the Canadian Hadi Mamasi will be on the 9th row of the grid. Brandon Carr, so much bad luck yesterday, lines up on the 10th row of the grid alongside the very impressive privateer Ella Stevens. MJ Canini and Luke Sindler, they're together on the 11th row of the grid. Tough day in the office from MJ yesterday. He just didn't seem to get the luck go his way. Harley Horton struggled, but he's still fighting valiantly there on the 12th row alongside another driver in the wars, Harry Junior Burgoyne, Edu Robinson, Max Barrow, Bart Harrison, Gabriel Stilp, and making his British racing debut, Sebastian Weldon, completing the grid here in Miami Cadet. This is a fascinating weekend so far, but at that front end of the grid, it looks like business as usual for Fusion and Oliver Rowland Motorsport. But for me, the guy to watch for, Kai, is Sam Shaw. He was so strong in race 1, didn't get the chance to finish where he wanted to. Really superbly stepped up to the plate to hold both of the guys at Fusion and Oliver Rowland Motorsport at bay. He could be one to charge his way forward.
Sam Shaw, definitely the driver one to watch. If he didn't have that puncher, definitely be at the front end of the grid for starting. But still, a very solid driver, see if he can make a solid result.
The gate goes up, the green flag flies, and it's time to see how these Miami cadets get themselves going one more time. So the final one is about to get themselves underway. Oh, and a spin on the way out of the pits. Goodness me, that's Gabriel Stilp. So Gabriel Stilp spinning as he gets himself up to speed. This is, I think, his first time in the championship at Miami Cadet in 2018. So, well, he's learned the hard way. He has got the car going again, and fortunately he'll be able to take up his position on the 14th row of the grid without having lost too much time. A little bit of face lost maybe, but hopefully it should all be done from there, and he'll be okay to continue the rest of the race. 12 minutes go on the clock, and it's McIntyre and Lindblad, Hall and Dodds, Keeble and Phillips, Robinson and Watts, and Baxter, Davies and Clark in the top 10. But let's not forget, McLaughlin and Shaw, the Strawberry pair, very close in there on the 6th row. Right and Neat, Slater from 15th on the grid. He's sure to charge forward, as is Brandon Carr from 19th on the grid. MJ Canini from 21st should be a strong prospect as well. Plenty of drivers down the order needing to charge their way through. Keep an eye on the likes of Robinson and Harrison, actually, who had difficult days yesterday. Horton could be a strong prospect as well. And away we go, over the line. And a good start from the off as into the lead. McIntyre breaks clear, no problem. Maximus Hall gets in a second position off the dais and in through Cafe Corner for the first time. No fisticuffs at all. A very clean start indeed then from the Miami Cadets as the drivers make their way through up towards Stratford Hairpin for the first time. Cracking getaway by Will McIntyre. Textbook start.
Maximus Hall also going up to second, hoping he can stay there. That is the question.
Absolutely, Maximus Hall already starting to get into the inroads of McIntyre, who looked really confident yesterday, and now he's got an absolutely terrific crack on now. But interestingly, up into 3rd position has come Harley Keeble, teammate to Arvid Lindblad. So Lindblad in 4th place, but Keeble has made the better start of the two of them. So Harley Keeble may actually end up being the wingman, if you like, to Arvid Lindblad this time. Max Dodds is a couple of places further back as they come across the line. So it's McIntyre from Hall. Lindblad has already dealt with Keeble, so that didn't take long. Leo Robinson's up to 5th position. Cracking start from him on the 4th row of the grid. And already Keeble is backing into Dodds, and that's drifted him slightly wide. Good move there from Sam Shaw to get onto the inside of Archie Clark, and he's made his way up to 9th position already. So Shaw is already up 3 places from the 6th row of the grid. McIntyre, Hall, Lindblad and Keeble. Now, Keeble seems to have lost some time now, though, because Leo Robinson's got through. Dodds was a little bit wide as they came through. Warning flag's gone out already. That's to the 57. Now, that is Aidan Neate, who has not come through. Oh, no, he has come through, sorry. He was in 13th place. He had a bit of a transponder issue on that first lap, but it has now been corrected. So as they come through at the end of the second lap, McIntyre and Hall are pushing away from the rest of the field. Now, somebody is a long way down the order. Oh, it's Harley Horton again. What a shame. He's had absolutely no luck at all this weekend, and it just seems to be continuing. McIntyre and Hall. Up to 3rd has come Lindblad. Max Dodds is really struggling, but Sam Shaw has dealt with him on the inside line. Again, Sam Shaw is just rising to the occasion here, and he's currently battling away there with Alfie Baxter-Davies, who's using his club-level knowledge to really good account here. Baxter-Davies, of course, is leading Army Cadet in the Shenington Club Championship, so no surprise at all to see him up there in, well, I was going to say 5th position. It's now down to 7th because Sam Shaw's come through, and there's contact with 2 of them further back. That's Luke Watts, the 10, and he's come together with somebody else in the mix there. Couldn't quite see who it is. Not entirely sure who I can make that out to be at the far side. We'll double check on the timing screens who hasn't come through. It's Ashton Hodgson he's tagged on with there. So unfortunately, Luke Watts and Ashton Hodgson coming together. And as they come through the leaders, it's still McIntyre and Hall, Lindblad, Keeble, and Sam Shaw. Sam Shaw's in 5th position already. This man is absolute lightning round Shenington.
Sam Shaw, driver of the day already for me. But Maximus Hall, dream team working with William McIntyre. Let's see if he can keep or make the gap even more over Arvid Lindblad.
Well, that's it. Maximus Hall is doing exactly what he needs to do at the moment. He's just sat behind Will McIntyre. He's not rushing this at all. He's just taking his time. And at this stage of the race, he's got his best opportunity to take his first win of the season. And all he has to do from this point is just go with McIntyre, not worry about what's going on behind, just keep pushing forward. If these two can get a decent, sizable gap in front of Arvid Lindblad, even if that's only 6 or 7 kart lengths, it'll be enough that if they get into the final 2 laps, Hall has a decent shot of getting the victory here. But Lindblad is getting into them, and Sam Shaw goes for 4th into Cafe and gets the move on Harley Keeble. So Sam Shaw's now in a 4th position. Meanwhile, Ella Stevens has just made a nice manoeuvre there on Oliver Wright. So Ella Stevens is charging her way forward. Blimey, she must be in about, I'm trying to figure out where she is in the day. She must be a good 16th or 17th place, so she's making up 3 or 4 places as well. Several drivers on the move. Freddie Slater, by the way, has come up into the top 10. Again, there's not many people who are surprised about that, but his rate of progression is obviously good to keep an eye on. Who else has made a big move? Brandon Carr, no surprises there. He's up into 13th at the end of that lap from 19th on the grid. So some good moves through the field, but there's a lot of drivers making progress. Shaw, Slater, Carr and Ella Stevens all making good progress in the early stages.
Bart Harrison also coming from 27th now up to 20th, doing a great charge as Lindblad catches onto the back of Hall, and hopefully if Keeble is thinking, he will push Shaw to try and catch up to the top 3.
Well, we could be about to see one of our first really tasty battles from this race, because on the back of Max Dodds is Freddie Slater. So this is going to be a really interesting battle as they come through, and they are currently tussling over 6th position. Is that Slater through now? It is. Slater has got past Max Dodds. That didn't take too long, and I think Max Dodds will want to retaliate very quickly after that. So as they come through the hanger corner flick, Max Dodd's going to get on the inside, is he? Oh, Slater just squeezes in. There's no chance of getting on that inside line this early in the race. You don't want to take that big a risk. So Freddie Slater holding Dodds at bay for the moment as the leaders come through the first corner. McIntyre has now got Lindblad behind him because Lindblad's made the move on Maximus Hall. So Lindblad has made the move on Max Hall. And in 4th place, it's still Shaw hanging on from Keeble. Big squeal of the tyres as Slater and Dodds are working very hard there to get away from Vinnie Phillips. Then it's Archie Clark having a great run in 9th place. The recent Bambino champion from 2017, Archie Clark, having an amazing run here at Shenington. And this is the weekend. It's all finally coming good. Leah Robinson, then it's Neat, Carr, Baxter-Davies, Mimasi, Rippin, Hodgson and Ella Stevens from Sintler, Wright and Bart Harrison. MJ Canini still there in 21st from Barrow, Watts, Robinson, Burgoyne, Weldon, Stilp, and then, of course, we've got McLaughlin, who's ended up in an incident or two all the way down the order, and Harley Horton likewise, but no retirements at this point as everybody's still pushing on. Leaders coming through once again to come across the start-finish line, and it's Lindblad! Lindblad is your leader! My goodness, he's fought for that one. Lindblad has got past McIntyre, and so now he leads from Maximus Hall. So it is Lindblad from McIntyre and Maximus Hall. Then it's Shaw, Keeble, Slater, Dodds, Phillips, Clark and Robinson. Really exciting battle then as Leo Robinson rounds out the top 10 in front of teammate Aidan Neat and behind teammate Archie Clark. That's going to get confusing as they come into the Bruno chicane once again. Lindblad in front of McIntyre, and these two are effectively battling for championship status.
Yeah. Literally on the track you're battling for position, but you're also battling for championship points, which is very crucial with, at the moment, Lindblad over McIntyre over Dodds, who has unfortunately went down to 3rd from 2nd with a a 6-point gap between Dodds and McIntyre in the championship, and a 11-point gap between Lindblad and McIntyre. So Lindblad at the moment just pulling away in the championship as well as on track.
Yeah, it's hard to do maths at 90 miles an hour, isn't it? It's very difficult to do the calculations. But yes, Lindblad having had the consistency so far this weekend. McIntyre really rising his game. The way things are currently shaping up, Lindblad is going to take an 11-point advantage over McIntyre. That's how important it is that McIntyre tries to find a way back through. Meanwhile, I think that's Keeble back into 4th position past Sam Shaw. I just want to double check on that one from the distance. It's hard to see, but Sam Shaw trying to hang on to that 4th position. I think I might be standing corrected. So as they come through, the leaders are no problem at all, still in that position. Up the inside, is that... Oh, McIntyre nearly had a chance. I do stand corrected. Sam Shaw is still there in 4th position as he comes through this time by. So Sam Shaw in front of the 12 of Keeble. Then it is the O-plate of Slater from Dodds, Phillips, Archie Clark having that amazing run. Then it is Leo Robinson from Brandon Carr, Aidan Neat, Baxter Davies, Rippin, Hodgson, Wright, Mamassi, Stevens, Sintler and Watts, who is recovering as fast as he can there in 20th position, trying to make up progress. But these three still very closely knit together. 3 minutes and 41 plus the additional lap on the clock. And as they come through Bruno Chicane, this is going to be a very interesting battle as Ella Stevens now gets an awful lot of pressure onto the back of the Canadian Hadi Mamassi. So those two are having a good battle in the midfield. There are great tussles everywhere you look in this field. One of the things I love so much about Army Cadet Racing. Out of the final turn come the leaders and into that first turn once again. Arvid Lindblad and McIntyre, they're pushing away from Maximus Hall now. They want to get out a gap, but thanks to Harley Keeble, Sam Shaw has got another chance of this. And with 3 minutes and 10 plus the additional lap, I think Sam Shaw and Harley Keeble have got time to catch them.
I've also got another question that I'm asking myself. What has happened to Fionn McLaughlin going down 17 places from 11th to 28th?
Yeah, it looks as though he's ended up in an incident somewhere we didn't see, maybe at the Stratford hairpin where it's out of our line of vision, but he has indeed ended up down the order along with Harley Horton, who had that incident we saw earlier on. They're trying desperately to catch up to the tail of the field, which is the new guns for Madcrock, Gabriel Stilp and Sebastian Weldon, who are basically here learning the trade. And across the start-finish line come the leaders once again as they tighten into the left-hander at Park Bend. And McIntyre desperately trying to drop Max Hall now. Look at this as he works with Arvid Lindblad. But Sam Shaw and Harley Keeble have not given up yet. Freddie Slater has got Max Dodds, Vinnie Phillips, Archie Clark and Leo Robinson not far away. Then it is Brandon Carr, who's up to 11th ahead of Aidan Neat. Alfie Baxter Davies struggling to stay in that top 10 now, down to 13th. Sebastian Weldon and Gabriel Stilp having a nice battle with each other there as they continue to race away. The ones who are definitely making the most ground in this race now are Sam Shaw and Harley Keeble. They are absolutely slicing that advantage to Maximus Hall, chipping away at it at the moment. They are faster than the leaders, those two. Quite consistently in the first sector, Shaw and Keeble are making the most grounds. So as they come through at the end of this lap, it won't be too long before we start to see Sam Shaw knocking on the door of Maximus Hall as McIntyre is absolutely glued to the back bunker of Arvid Lindblad this time. Keeble is helping Shaw to move forward. Maximus Hall is not giving up. And up to the top of the other queue has come Vinnie Phillips. What's happened to Slater? He's just behind him, and Dodds has slipped back 2 places now behind Archie Clark. So Archie Clark is up into 8th position. That's the highest he's run all season. Archie Clark's having an amazing run here at Shenington. They come through the S's at Bruno Chicane, and the top 5 are still very close together. Archie Clark is absolutely on a break now as Freddie Slater's got back to the front of their little tussle. Vinnie Phillips is in behind him, and Archie Clark just doesn't know no bounds at the moment. The Bambino champion from 2017 at MSA level, he's absolutely on a charge, and he seems to have taken a good 4-5 weekends to get into the flow of this kart, but now he's at one with it. And up the inside, Lindblad having to take back the lead from McIntyre. McIntyre initially trying to come through, and now Lindblad hanging on to him because we're in the closing stages of this race. 40 seconds to go when they came across the line, I think. So, for me, this is the penultimate lap, but we're going to have to see what happens when they come across the line. But Maximus Hall is not far away in 3rd position. There could be a last lap swing.
Yeah, as I always say, anything can happen on last lap. Positions can change, people can spin, people can crash, anything could happen.
And they're all five of them absolutely together now. Max Hall has caught the back of these two, have been jostling for position, and Shaw and Keeble are right in there as well. So it is a five-way tussle, and it could go anybody's way as they come out of the final turn. We're out of time. The O-plate, Freddie Slate has been given a warning flag, not sure what for, but across the line, they begin the final lap, and there's five of them at it, and up the inside, Lindblad's having to hold to cover. McIntyre's there on the inside of Maximus Hall. Sam Shaw still right in the tussle there in fourth position. Lindblad is down, Keeble is down at the back of the field in that five-cart train. So they are continuing to run around together. This is an absolutely terrific tussle. But who's going to emerge as the front end as they come towards the Bruno chicane on this last lap? Is it still going to be Lindblad in front? It is for the moment. McIntyre, Hall, Shaw and Keeble. It's going to come down to that final S. Is a little bit of a mistake from Sam Shaw. Keeble trying to get up the inside to take fourth position off him. And I think he's going to be able to hold station and hang a corner. He does. So there's nothing he can do to lose the place. But that's an amazing drive from Sam Shaw to come up from the sixth row to the top five. He's going to remain there. But a victory across the line in the first final. It's going to be Arvid Lindblad who hangs on in front of McIntyre, Hall, Shaw and Keeble. A brilliant end to the race there. And a fantastic tussle, and that sets up an amazing second final. Lindblad drives his way through to victory. McIntyre to second from Maximus Hall, hanging on there in third, but Sam Shaw has set this weekend alight again. He's got himself right back in contention.
Yeah, Sam Shaw, amazing drive, but also we always need to keep in mind Archie Clark, amazing drive.
Up to seventh by the finish, Archie Clark. What an amazing result. For me, the driver of the race there. I mean, obviously Sam Shaw getting himself up into the top five. We expected that sort of speed. But for me, the driver of the race there, the leading rookie across the line, Archie Clark. What a fantastic result. Seventh position in his first season. A terrific result. Brilliant, brilliant job. And Archie Clark, well deserving of the credit for that one. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Thank you for joining me, Kai, for those two races. We'll have you back again for Mini X30 in the IAMA Cadet second final. I can't wait for that. Who do you reckon will get the victory that time?
Can't really call it.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you very much indeed. We'll move on then to the next race on the bill, which is the Senior X30. It's been an absolutely terrific race here. We will continue on with more great action here at Shenington.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality and Trade Price Cars.
Well, two very good finals to start the day then, and we move into the Senior X30 final expecting no less than the same standard of excitement. Oliver Hodgson and Joe Turney resume their battle from yesterday on the front row of the starting grid here. It's going to be really exciting to see how the battle continues to intensify from this point forward. Morgan Vorta and Rory Hudson on the second row of the grid in there with them, with Sean Butcher and Levi King on row 3. Lewis Malin and Ewan Wilson on the fourth row from Sam Stansbury and Matt Armstrong. Thomas Turner and Saul Robinson on the sixth row from Brad Pennell and Henry Laws. Patrick Rundqvist and Scott Jackson on the eighth row of the grid from Jensen Brown and Derek Morgan. Rounding up the top 20 will be Mo Ibrahim and Rashid Yanev. Jake Douglas and Anna Morris will be on the 11th row from Sky Siddle and Gregorio Perez. From Archie Tillett, Alexander Luck and Kieran Long. It's going to be a really interesting battle as the drivers get themselves up to speed. Already it's not very clear who is going to walk away with a victory in this one, because Hodgson and Turney are very closely matched at the start of proceedings. Mind you, there's a lot more drivers in the mix than just them to consider, because there's so many drivers in the mix who could make a bit of a play for this one. Morgan Porter in particular has had a really strong start to his season. The M-Sport driver is really starting to hit his stride now and looking more and more confident as the weekends progress. And those drivers on that inside line have definitely had a stronger start to the races traditionally over the course of the weekends. But I tell you what, another good performance is in the offing here for the Australian Sean Butcher, who's also on that inside line and is looking very competitive. So that third row of the grid alongside Levi King. Those two could be very interesting prospects in this one. A lot of great progress has been made actually by the privateer, Sam Stansbury, who looks very composed over the course of this one, and I have the potential to consider there's going to be an awful lot of exciting stuff from him as things continue. So some good battles, and it continues to excite as the championship just continues. So we're going to see some really intense battling from the drivers. They're going to continue on this amazing spread. All the way from Oliver Hodgson down to Kieran Long. Some incredible drivers in this 27 kart field, and the championship obviously going to be very closely matched. So just to give you an update on the virtual championship for the Ayami Cadets after that final, Arvid Lindblad now leads the championship by 11 points to Will McIntyre as a result of that race. They are 10 points now ahead of Max Dodds. Freddie Slater in 4th place, just 4 points now ahead of his teammate Aidan Neat, with Maximus Hall moving up to 6th position with that performance from Luke Watson, Brandon Carr, and Harley Keeble rising up to 9th place in front of Leo Robinson. So it's still very close in that mix of drivers from 4th position downwards. There's still only 41 points separating 4th down to 10th, so it's very open there and thereabouts. But with Freddie Slater struggling yesterday and having that 2 laps taken off him, and then a difficult first result there for Slater, it's looking more and more increasingly likely that this is going to become a 3-horse race throughout now, Lindblad, McIntyre and Dodds for the Drivers' Championship. And there is currently 21 points between those 3, Lindblad, McIntyre and Dodds, in the Ayami Cadet Championship Stakes. And that is going into the second final, which will be later this afternoon, of course. Fastest lap in that race, by the way, Sam Shaw. Why am I not surprised somehow? Fantastic performance from him in that race. 51.55, the fastest lap of the Ayami Cadet Final 1. Final 1 for Senior X30 is up next now, though. And that's what takes the next major line of focus as the drivers will head out onto the circuit to give us some more entertainment. And all running to schedule and all running to time at the moment, which is great news. And the gate is going to go up. The green flag is going to fly. And the Senior X30 Brigade is going to head out onto the circuit for the first of 2 finals today. And Oliver Hodgson versus Joe Turney can continue. The gate rises, the green flag flies. Hodgson and Turney, Porter and Hudson, Butcher and King, Malin and Wilson, Stansbury and Armstrong, Turner and Robinson, Pennell and Laws, Rundquist and Jackson, Brown and Morgan, Ibrahim, Ganem, Douglas, Morris, Siddle, Perez, Tillett, Luck and Long. Really exciting racing to come then from these guys if this is anything to go by. The drivers are in a very strong position. They're keeping themselves very closely knit around the circuit. And obviously getting up to speed on this rolling formation lap. They will continue to put in a good show. So let's see how this race manages to even out. And obviously, as the championship continues on in this first final, we will look at the championship points as they go as well. Coming into this weekend, Joe Turney, the championship leader from Morgan Porter and Oliver Hodgson. Although yesterday, Hodgson did an awful lot of work to get that gap down. So let's see how the championship fight continues in Senior X30 in the first of the 2 finals today. Is it going to be a clean start? The answer is yes, and away we go racing. Hodgson leaping into the lead straight away early doors. Porter trying to get alongside Joe Turney. Turney not allowing him a chance to come through, and Porter's going to get squeezed down to 4th position. Make that 5th because Hudson's through and Sean Butcher's through. So a cracking start already. And with Turney leading Morgan Porter by 10 points coming into this weekend, it's already going to be a very exciting start. And there's yellow flags down at Stratford. Several drivers appear to be missing from the fray. So we'll try and keep an eye on things as the drivers come through. But there's a yellow flag flying down at Stratford, so there's clearly been a bit of an incident. Now, I'm not entirely sure what who the cause of it is or what the form book is and who's not come through, but we'll find out when the drivers come across the line now. It's Hodgson leading the way, Turney in 2nd, Hudson in 3rd, from Butcher, Porter, Wilson, King, Laws, Armstrong and Stansbury, and several drivers have yet to come through. Jensen Brown, Mo Ibrahim and Rashid Ghanem have not yet come through. So now Jensen Brown is coming through, but unfortunately the Dan Holland racing driver appears to be parking it in the pits. So a real shame. But the yellow flag is still flying, and there are our 2 drivers, Mo Ibrahim and Rashid Ghanem, having parked their carts and have walked away. And it actually looks as though there's quite a bit of damage to the barriers. I think that's actually happened on the way down to the Stratford hairpin. That hasn't actually happened at the hairpin. So these guys have tussled together on the way down to that part of the course. And there's now yellow flags down there because the marshals are clearing it up. Hodgson, Turney, Butcher now third from Hudson, Morgan Porter, sixth position is Wilson, then it's King, Laws, Armstrong, Stansbury, Robinson, Malin, Pennell and Thomas Turner. But yes, we're under yellow flags at that corner, so it's not full course yellows, but clearly there's some barrier damage at that point of the course, so the drivers are having to be very careful on the way out of Cafe. They get back on the power through Bruno Chicane and back down the straight, but it's looking good for Oliver Hodgson. As things stand at the moment, Hodgson's about to gain some good ground in the championship. Turney will only have a 5-point advantage over Morgan Porter after the work that Morgan did yesterday to get some of that gap down. And out in front, it is Hodgson from Joe Turney. Sean Butcher, Morgan Porter back to fourth position now, in front of the 12 of Ewan Wilson. A good run there from Wilson. Yellow flag still flying at the left flick at Pitts Bend because there is still damage to the barriers at that point. Unfortunately, Mo Ibrahim and Rashid Ghanem are out of their carts just watching the race. They're very annoyed about it, but at least there's no damage done to them. So the drivers now getting themselves back up to rhythm again as they go through the Hangar Straight complex once again. Hodgson still in front of Joe Turney, who holds the lead in the championship at the moment and will continue to do so if it stays like this, with a lead of 14 points if the race finishes like this. So again, down to the hairpin. Looks good for Morgan Porter to close up on the top three. Sean Butcher, the Australian, has gone with them. So Oliver Hodgson out in front, Joe Turney in second, Sean Butcher in third from Morgan Porter and Ewan Wilson. Rory Hudson in sixth place now from Levi King. Henry Laws having a much better weekend, the rookie, now finds himself in eighth position. So Henry Laws now into a much stronger position there. Sam Stansbury in ninth place, the privateer, and Matt Armstrong, one of the 5 MLR carts in unison, because we've got Armstrong, Malin, Turner, Robinson and Pennell all in there together. But Hodgson in front of Turney, Butcher going with them, and now Morgan Porter dropping the rest of the field, but finding himself in no man's land in the hope that Butcher starts to knock on the door of Joe Turney. Stationary yellow through Pitts Bend still. But the drivers make their way through. Still, other than the 3 drivers that have already parked it, everyone else is still running, but Sam Stansbury appears not to have come through. So what has happened to Sam Stansbury now? I can't see him anywhere, but it looks to me as though Sam Stansbury might be out of the race. Unfortunately, he was the leading privateer just a few moments ago, but I think his race has ended at Stratford Hairpin. So, unfortunately, Stansbury now out of the race with 7 minutes 42, plus the additional lap to go. Hodgson, Turney, Butcher, Porter, Hudson, and then this amazing scrap of carts for 6th position, led by Thomas Turner now, who's made the move on teammate Lewis Malin. It basically goes all the way down to the 96 of Gregorio Perez down at the back of the field, with a couple of drivers down the order, Anna Morris, and out of the race, it's Alexander Luck. Alexander Luck pulling off right in front of us here on the entry to the pits, on the exit of the pits, sorry. So Alexander Luck's game over, I'm afraid. Yellow flags will fly, of course, here at Cafe Corner. And there is a stationary yellow on the way into Park Bend because, of course, that kart is still in a dangerous position. It is not anymore. It has now been brought back into the pit exit. For Hodgson, Turney, Butcher, Porter, Hudson, Turner, Malin, Laws, Wilson, Armstrong and Robinson. So the retirement of Sam Stansbury and the retirement of Alexander Luck has definitely shaken things up a little bit. Anna Morris seems to have been in an incident somewhere and has fallen away down the order to 22nd. Ironic, considering she's number 22. Stationary yellows still at Stratford Hairpin, but I think that might be for Stansbury's car. It is now withdrawn. So the leaders still out in front. Hodgson doing a good job there out in front. Oh, the warning flag has gone out to the 22 of Anna Morris. So maybe the incident there potentially... well, certainly the officials think it's her fault on that particular occasion. Not sure what the incident was, so I can't make any decision either way myself. But the race is still going through. These leading 3, Hodgson, Turney and Butcher, still desperately trying to get away from Morgan Porter. The gap is a 1.5 seconds. And Hudson is trying to gain ground on Morgan Porter. So there's still a reasonable way to go in this race. 5 minutes and 50 seconds plus the additional lap. But as things currently stand, Joe Turney would have a 14-point lead on Morgan Porter in the Drivers' Championship in front of Oliver Hodgson, who is another 8 points back. So it's all still very close. 22 points between the leading 3 drivers in the championship. And Butcher is through. Butcher has got past Joe Turney. Now that has knocked a couple of points off Joe Turney's tally. So Morgan Porter is now only 12 points back. So that gives them a little bit of daylight to think about. 20 points separating the three drivers in the championship if things stay as they are. But Sean Butcher is now going for an attack on Oliver Hodgson if he can make a way through. So Joe Turney will want to work with Sean Butcher in the hope that they can both get past Oliver Hodgson, and then with 2 laps to go, he can start battling with the Australian. There's not many people on this grid that I can say I have actually raced against. Sean Butcher is one of them. Last week out in Wackersdorf in Germany, a couple of weeks ago I should say now, at Wackersdorf in Germany, we had the opportunity to have a play on the indoor karting circuit, which I also ended up doing with a couple of the other Mick Barrett racing drivers. And I can say that Sean Butcher definitely knows his way around a racing car. Hodgson in first, Butcher in second place, third Joe Turney. Can Sean Butcher make grounds on the way through into the lead of the race on Hodgson? He's going to get some support from Joe Turney. He'll be quite happy with the idea of Butcher taking the lead off Hodgson, because that will take a few points away from Hodgson's advantage in this race as he continues to lead. But again, there's still quite a feasible way to go in this race. There is still a lot to do. And the drivers are still getting a good battle here. Hodgson, Butcher and Turney. Porter's being caught rapidly now by Hudson and Turner. Thomas Turner, the O-plate, is reeling in these guys up in front. So as the field continues to squabble through, no major dives up the order on the last lap other than Archie Tillett making his way up past Kieran Long. They are up to 17th and 18th, by the way. They're going through the field together. So Morgan Porter now falling into the clutches of Hudson and Turner. But there is a long way to go still. 3 minutes 32 plus the additional lap. So that's still quite a few laps of this circuit left. We go into the 13th lap of the race now as the leaders come through. And that is Joe Turney at the front. So there you go. Butcher's got through. Turney's got through. Turney is now your race leader. And that gives him a sizable lead in the championship now. His gap would open up to 16 points in the championship if it would finish like this. So Joe Turney has taken the lead at exactly the moment he wanted to. Absolutely perfect timing. And Hodgson has made the move past Sean Butcher. So that's going to give Hodgson a couple more points further up. He will move to 8.14 on the virtual championship standings as they come through this time by. But it's Turney, Hodgson, Butcher, Porter, Hudson, Turner, Malin, Laws, Armstrong and Derek Morgan, who's been fighting his way beautifully back into contention. Up to 10th position he's gone. Robinson's through to 11th. Douglas is up to 12th. Pennell is down to 13th. Up in 13th, sorry. All at the expense of Ewan Wilson. And Thomas Turner's made the move. Hodgson takes the lead. Butcher takes second. Turney goes wide at Cafe. So, amazingly, Hodgson is back into the lead of the race. He got past Butcher and he got past Turney in the same breath. So now Joe Turney down to third position once again. Some cracking driving in this battle as the racers are continuing to tussle away for position. But this is exactly what Morgan Porter wants, as he has now got Thomas Turner behind him. He'll want the MLR driver to start chasing after him and giving Porter a little bit of support, because with these three battling away to change position, there is a chance that the 4th and 5th place men who swap positions now, Thomas Turner through past Morgan Porter, they could catch the leaders, and Rory Hudson believes likewise. He's now tagging onto the back of Morgan Porter in 5th position. So some exciting battles then as the drivers are now tightening up in the top 6 with a minute and a half plus the additional laps still left on the clock. And now that's a move up the inside line from Hudson. He gets the move on Porter. Porter down to 6th position. This is not good for Porter's championship credentials here. He's lost 2 places on that lap, and that's definitely going to cost him a big chunk of time to Joe Turney. So down to the hairpin once again, the drivers have come through, and out in front it's Butcher. Butcher has taken the lead now. So Turney through to 2nd, Hodgson down to 3rd. Sean Butcher is now the race leader. These battles continue to rise around the circuit here as Butcher, Turney, and now Hodgson from Turner, Hudson and Porter. And that means that the championship would see a 16-point lead over Porter by Turney, with Hodgson down to 8-12, another 10 points back. So it's getting rather hectic out there, and all of the drivers want to have a little bit more opportunity to move forward. But as the leaders come through, Who is the race leader this time by? It's still Sean Butcher, the Australian. Hodgson through in a second. Third, Turner. Fourth, Turney. So Hudson, Porter, and now the seventh man joining the battle is Lewis Malin. Henry Laws has got his own problems to deal with a few car lengths back. Matt Armstrong and Derek Morgan scrapping away. Saul Robertson in 11th place still. Then it's Douglas, Pennell, Wilson, Rundquist and King. And as Butcher comes into the Bruno chicane, he is about to go into his final lap. So the Australian Sean Butcher is setting himself up for a great run to the flag here. The gap between him and Hodgson is 0.4 of a second. And at this stage, that's going to be very difficult to overhaul. They come over the start-finish line one more time. Sean Butcher in the lead. Hodgson has got Thomas Turner all over the back of him. Joe Turney there in 4th place still as they come through Cafe Corner. No major changes, but a really exciting tussle as they come through this time by. And down to the hairpin. Surely Sean Butcher, the Australian, is going to have this one in the bag as he comes up towards the Bruno chicane for the final time. He tightens into the right-hander, into the left flick. Turner is not close enough to make the lunge at Oliver Hodgson, but Joe Turney may be able to get back into the top 3 on this lap. But this is all good news for Joe Turney. Even though Hodgson's in front, Porter is behind, so it increases his lead in the Drivers' Championship. As out of the final turn, the Australian Sean Butcher takes the victory here at Shenington in the final one. A great result for the Australian. Sean Butcher has done it in fine style. Great racing, so patient, so calculated, and makes it look child's play in the end. Great result for Sean Butcher, and I'm sure Dad Glenn Butcher is going to be really delighted with that one. Oliver Hodgson in 2nd place from Thomas Turner in 3rd. Joe Turney, Morgan Porter and Rory Hudson round out the top 6. With Lewis Malin in 7th place. A few seconds back, Henry Laws, Matt Armstrong and Derek Morgan round out the top 10 from Saul Robinson, Jake Douglas, Brad Pennell, Ewan Wilson and Levi King, Patrick Rundquist, Archie Tillett and Kieran Long. From Scott Jackson, Sky Siddle, Gregorio Perez and Anna Morris, with retirements in that race from no less than 5 drivers: Alexander Luck, Sam Stansbury, Jensen Brown, Mo Ibrahim and Rashid Ghanem. So a lot of drivers out of the race in that one, and that's going to make a bit of a clean-up job out on the circuit for the drivers. But wow, what an exciting race in Senior X30, and great to see Glenn Butcher taking another victory, and that will put him on the pole position for final 2. And he's going to have a really exciting run to the first corner at the end of what's been a really exciting race. That means that in the championship standings heading into the second final later, Joe Turney is now on 834 points, which is 11 points now ahead of Morgan Porter, with Oliver Hodgson a further 9 points back. So there is still only 20 points then behind. There's only still 20 points between Joe Turney, Morgan Porter and Oliver Hodgson. Very close indeed, their battles as they tighten up their grip. So a very exciting tussle. Junior X30 up next, and it's all about whether that man, Alex Lloyd, who's taken both the heat wins this weekend, can get his championship fight back on course and hang on for a famous victory in the first final.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality and Trade Price Cars.
So now the Junior X30 first final is going to bring us out onto the circuit once again, and Alex Lloyd, who a lot of people were thinking potentially wasn't going to be racing this weekend, the team convinced him, come on, you need to come and do this, and they've been proven absolutely right, because Alex Lloyd has walked away from yesterday with 2 victories in the heats, and he's looking just about the man in dominant form at the moment. Not many people have been able to hold a candle to the KR Sport drivers, Lewis Gilbert and Clayton Ravenscroft this year. Alex Lloyd, however, seems to have exactly the tools to get the job done. And this weekend, a couple of victories in the finals would definitely get his British campaign back on track. Exactly what he needs. And things are going absolutely sky-high beautifully in the weekend for the man on pole position, Alex Lloyd. Second on the grid alongside him, the man from Dalry, Lewis Gilbert, who's actually making up some gains on his championship rival and teammate Clayton Ravenscroft this weekend. In terms of championship points scored, Gilbert has actually done a better job so far this weekend than his teammate Ravenscroft, who was leading the championship coming into this weekend. So there's definitely going to be a bit of a pendulum swing there. Luke Whitehead has had some really impressive performances this weekend thus far. 3rd position of the final, number 1, and it's great to see that he just continues to put in that effort. He's always right up at the sharp end. He's always incredibly quick. He usually tends to find himself off into the scenery, usually at the hand of other people. But it's great to see that he never gives up, he never ever says die, and he's always got that iron hard will to keep on moving forward. And that inside line on the 2nd row of the grid could be just what he needs to get a victory in the bag here this weekend at Shenington, and he more than deserves it. Alongside him on the front row of that starting grid, 2nd row of that starting grid, is Caden McQueen. Always one of the more chaotic, crazy and playful characters on the grid. Great to see him in that 2nd row of the grid. He is sure to be one getting up there for victory here today. Looking very strong over the course of yesterday. Solid and consistent, very smooth, great rhythm. This is an opportunity now for him to surge forward and go and grab his first victory of the weekend. And I can sense that this is the kind of circuit he will get an opportunity and he'll seize the gap to go and do it. So keep an eye on Caden McQueen. He could be a victor in this one. Nelson King and Lewis Thompson on that 3rd row of the grid. Great to see their consistency has bought them a place in the top 6 on the starting grid. Again, great effort rewarded there from those two. Consistency again for Dragon Pinson on a difficult weekend for him, but he is there on the 4th row of the grid, and most importantly of all, he is in front of the man he is trying to catch in the championship fight. He's behind Gilbert, but he's in front of Ravenscroft. So Dragon Pinson definitely with a good chance to gain good championship points here. Alongside him on that starting grid is Oliver Bierman on the 4th row of the grid. Then Will Ellswood, the leading privateer, of course, is there in 5th position on the starting grid. Alongside him is Casper Stevenson. Another great performance from him this weekend, and great to see Casper right up at the sharp end. Clayton Ravenscroft goes off 11th on the starting grid after a difficult day at the office yesterday that saw him fail to get away after about 45 seconds of waiting around in the first heat, and that's really compromised his weekend. He's playing catch-up ever since that point, basically, but he's there on the 6th row of the starting grid. Alongside him is Oliver Gray for the Tuto Motorsport team. Both of those drivers will want to be charging forward. Then comes the man who currently leads the Shenington Club Championship at Junior X30 level, Jamie Mead, who is on the 7th row of the grid alongside Tyler Reid. Reggie Dewey, who technically won yesterday's race on the road in Heat 2, but had it taken away from him after being given a lap penalty. He starts 15th on the grid alongside Matthew Hudson. Then it's Josh Radican, Sam Heading, Alessandro Seranetti, Rufus Hunt, Shane White, Casper Scusa, Douglas Bolger, Alex Lay, Alex Moody, Tom Edgar, Max Mear, Teddy Pritchard-Williams, and then Sam Hawthorne and Axel Laflamme, who had a day to forget yesterday and are hoping that this is the day it all turns around. So the drivers are on their rolling lap, getting themselves up to speed once again. The drivers will want as good a start as possible to move their way forward. There's obviously going to be a really exciting and very tense battle as the drivers try and get their way around the circuit in good speed. So let's see if the drivers will be in a strong position from the get-go. They want to have a clear and positive start. From the rolling start, they get in the gaggle out of the final turn. The engine revs will rise. Is this going to be a clean start? Yes, it is. A perfect getaway from the front of the field then from your pole sitter, Alex Lloyd, trying to get up the inside a second. Luke Whitehead, for once, he will not be elbowed aside and gets in a 2nd position. A cracking start from Luke Whitehead. So many times this season, Whitehead has been the one to lose out of the start, but not today. Luke Whitehead absolutely determined. You are not going to push me around. He gets in a 2nd place off the start. Great getaway from Whitehead this time. 3rd position, right up there. That looks to me like the man who was there in behind him on the starting grid, Nelson King. So again, 1, 3 and 5 have made cracking getaways. So it is Lloyd who leads the way from Luke Whitehead in 2nd. Very dramatic start to the race, but absolutely terrific from Whitehead. Really asserted himself at the start of this race, and he needed to this weekend. So he's up there in 2nd, chasing after Lloyd. Then it's Nelson King from Gilbert, Thompson, McQueen, Pinson, Stevenson, Behrman, Reid and Ravenscroft. So the battle begins in Junior X30 as the drivers head up to the Stratford hairpin for the first time. And this is going to be some pretty sensational racing with Alex Lloyd looking to make it 3 wins out of 3. And of course, as the race continues on, we're going to get to see how the championship stacks up with the work they did yesterday, coupled with the race results for this race today. So this is going to be a really exciting tussle. But Alex Lloyd is your leader at the moment from Luke Whitehead in second and Nelson King there in third. Gilbert in fourth position from Lewis Thompson. Caden McQueen still in the mix there in sixth in front of Dragon Pinson. But Luke Whitehead's already caught up to the back of Alex Lloyd and he wants to go for the lead. Nelson King's there in third place to get a bit of support. A cracking move from Lewis Thompson sees him in fourth position. Fifth place is Caden McQueen. So that puts Gilbert down into sixth position. So the three drivers in the championship fight are 6th for Gilbert, 8th for Pinson, and 10th for Ravenscroft. What a weekend this is turning into as Whitehead now has to defend from Nelson King, and that pushes Whitehead wide. Thompson's through, McQueen is through, and it looks like Gilbert's going to get through as well. Once again, Luke Whitehead just squeezed onto the curbs there, and there's nothing you could do once you put two wheels on the curb on the exit of the Bruno chicane. So he goes down to 6th position, but Whitehead is straight back on the inside of Gilbert, takes 5th place back. Good work from Whitehead, right back into the mix. So Alex Lloyd is a race leader. Thompson in 2nd position now as he's made the move on Nelson King. So Lewis Thompson into 2nd position on the Jade Racing cart with the Birolart chassis as they make their way down to the Bruno chicane. But through all of this, Alex Lloyd has stayed steadfast and firm in the lead of this race. Thompson now in 2nd position, King in 3rd place. Then it's Caden McQueen in front of Luke Whitehead and Lewis Gilbert. Then it is Stevenson, Behrman, Pinsent, Reed, Ravenscroft and Ellswood. So really exciting start to the race here as some of the title contenders definitely not in the positions we thought they'd be in. Lloyd is on the comeback charge here with Thompson, King, McQueen, Whitehead and Gilbert close in behind. Pinsent is now behind Ravenscroft. So Ravenscroft has made his way up to 10th place. 9th position. He's got past Pinsent with Dewey, Ellswood, Reed, Mead, Gray, Hudson and Serenetti next in the line. And up the inside, is that for the lead? Oh my goodness, Lloyd has dropped to 3rd position and that was King trying to make the move on Thompson. Didn't make the move stick. They clattered into each other on the exit of Bruno chicane and now the whole field has tightened up as a result. Goodness me, no change for position, but it's all back the field into each other. So now they're going to come across the line this time by. And it's going to be King trying desperately to get back past Lewis Thompson for the lead of the race. Thompson is your leader. Whitehead makes the move on McQueen and gets into 4th position. Cracking racing from Luke Whitehead again. So they come off the turn once again at Pitts Bend and now down to the hairpin. It's Thompson, King, Lloyd, Whitehead, McQueen, Gilbert, Stevenson, Behrman and Ravenscroft with Dragon Pinsent now slipping down to 13th on that lap. It's all chaos as Lloyd now gets himself back in a second past Lewis Thompson. Nelson King is your leader. Nelson King leads. Alex Lloyd in 2nd place. Lloyd is already starting to shape up Nelson King for an opportunity. He doesn't want Nelson King to get a whiff of opportunity to win this one. But even a 2nd place would be a great result for Alex Lloyd, considering the championship contenders are all behind him. Thompson's going to try and make his move for 2nd. He's not going to get there. Lloyd's got it nicely set up for 2nd place as Whitehead tries to shake off McQueen. Gilbert still there in 6th from Behrman, Stevenson, Dewey and Ravenscroft. Back to the front of the field behind them is Tyler Reed, who now signals to, that's Ellswood, who signals to Reed, Pinson, Gray and Serenetti. Come on, we can catch the leaders. It's doable. Still no retirements from this race. All 30 of them still pounding around as Whitehead shakes off McQueen as Gilbert tries to make a move on the number 42. But Caden McQueen hangs on to 5th position for the moment. Absolutely sensational racing for the Junior X30s at the moment. And everybody still very close-knit in the battle. All 30 of them still on the track together. No shoving and barging, no fisticuffs, just great racing. Nelson King, Alex Lloyd, then Thompson, Whitehead, McQueen, Gilbert. This is shaping up to be the best Junior X30 race of the season I've seen. They're having an absolutely terrific run. And there's, there's Battenbergs. Battenberg flags have gone out. And it looks like we've lost 2 or 3 of them from the fray. It's Serenetti and Pinson. Serenetti and Pinson have come together somewhere on the circuit. So we're under Battenbergs. Now, I'm not entirely sure where that's happened. But we've lost Alessandro Serenetti and we've lost Dragon Pinson. Now that's a big moment for the championship battle. Dragon Pinson now looking likely to fall down the order as a result of being out of the race. But crucially, with the race standings as they are at the moment, we've now got the championship standings up in front of us. And it would be Lewis Gilbert who takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship based on the fact that he is in 6th and Ravenscroft is currently in 10th. But the gap between them would be only 4 points. So there's still a long way to go in this race. So let's see what happens. King is your leader. Thompson in second. Lloyd is third. Whitehead is fourth. Then it is McQueen, Gilbert, Stevenson, Dewey, Behrman and Ravenscroft in the top 10. With, sadly, well, hang on a minute. It looks like Serenetti and Pinson have come through down at the back of the field. So I'm guessing the reason we're under Battenberg's is because there is debris on the circuit. So that's got to be damage to a barrier. So the two of them have got going again. But obviously repairs need to be done to the barrier. Maybe it's across a particular part of the circuit. I'm not entirely sure where that damage is, but that's why we were under Battenberg's. But the Battenberg's have now been withdrawn. So as they come through across the line this time by, they're going to go racing one more time. And with 5 minutes plus the additional lap to go in the first final, here we go. And out in front, it is Nelson King who takes the lead from Lewis Thompson and Alex Lloyd. The top 5 have broken well clear. Brilliant start from those 5. Lewis Gilbert, for once, is caught out. And so now the new championship leader, if it stays like this, is going to be in an absolutely terrific performance. But unfortunately, seeing Serenetti down the field, down in 29th position, that's really going to hamper his chances in the Drivers' Championship. Dragon Pinson, likewise, he's going to basically make this a 2-horse race for the Drivers' Championship by only being 4 points ahead of Whitehead. But Luke Whitehead can get himself into third place in the Drivers' Championship if he can make his way past King, Thompson and Lloyd in this race. As up the inside goes King. King takes the lead. Good start there from Nelson King on this reboot. And he now gets himself into the lead of the race. So Nelson King at the front. Lewis Thompson in second from Alex Lloyd. Fourth position is Luke Whitehead with a golden opportunity now to move himself up into third position in the Drivers' Championship if he can get himself to the front. There goes Thompson on the back of Nelson King. Alex Lloyd is tied in behind. Luke Whitehead is there in position. And Reggie Dewey's made the move on Gilbert. Reggie Dewey has gone up into 6th position, which is great news because he's 6th position in the standings now if things stay as they are, because he'll move ahead of Alessandro Senanetti into the top 6 of the standings. So a really exciting battle. Here they come again. King, Thompson, Lloyd, Whitehead, McQueen, Dewey, Gilbert, and then it is Casper Stevenson in front of Ravenscroft, 22, Tyler Reid and Oliver Behrman. Then there's a long gap back, so a lot of the drivers getting caught out on the restart there after the Battenbergs. But it's Nelson King who leads the way here from Lewis Thompson and Luke Whitehead into third position. Whitehead into third place. Now this is really important for Luke to keep this up, because if he just gains a few more points, then he's going to move into third place in the Drivers' Championship with Dragon Pinson right down at the back and Luke Whitehead surging forward to third place. If he can break one more position into second place, he will be dead level with Pinson for points in the Drivers' Championship. Nelson King, Lewis Thompson, Luke Whitehead, Alex Lloyd, Caden McQueen, Reggie Dewey, Clayton Ravenscroft behind them all. What a fascinating race this is turning out to be in Junior X30 in the first final. There's been some amazing drives so far. Nelson King in a brilliant lead with Lewis Thompson second and Luke Whitehead absolutely surging forward in third position, having a cracking drive at the moment. So the top 3 are breaking clear. Whitehead is actually doing exactly the right thing. He's tagging onto the back of Thompson and King and trying to pull away from the man in 4th place, Alex Lloyd. If he can just keep this up, Whitehead is looking so strong. Up the inside, though, that is Nelson King trying to break away from Lewis Thompson, and that just brings the gap right in tight as McQueen has gone up past Lloyd. So McQueen has gone into 4th position, past Alex Lloyd. And the battle continues, but there's still an awful long way to go. Now, Dragon Pinson's made up a couple of places on that lap, actually. He's up to 28th position, so Whitehead is going to need another strong finish in the second final if Pinson was going to struggle to get into third position. So even if Whitehead was to get into first position, he would still be dead level with Pinson in the points now. But he's still doing an absolutely cracking job. And Lewis Gilbert is now only 3 points in the championship ahead of Ravenscroft if it finishes like this. But Whitehead doesn't care about points in the championship at the moment. He wants to win. He's on the back of King and Thompson. McQueen is there for company. And Reggie Dewey is up to 5th position. Cracking race this from Dewey as he's desperately trying to close in on Lewis Thompson. But to be fair, Whitehead could do with getting past Thompson because that'll help him get a few more points in the championship. But Nelson King's miserable start to the season looks like it could finally be rewarded with a victory in the final here in final one. So let's see if he can hang on to it. We're running short on time. They come across the line, and there is going to be 31 seconds to go as they come across the line, plus the additional lap. Whitehead is having to defend valiantly from Dewey, and Dewey comes to contact with Whitehead. Oh, Whitehead and Dewey tagged together. That was a very ambitious move from Reggie Dewey on the inside there, and unfortunately both of them drifted wide. Both drivers drifted wide, and they just ended up collecting each other, and that has taken Whitehead down the order. Dewey likewise, just a little bit ambitious, and there's more contact, and Whitehead and Dewey have come together a second time in the Bruno chicane. Oh dear. Well, it looks to me as though Reggie Dewey, well, I don't know who caused that one, but Dewey and Whitehead come together for the second time in 4 corners. So that's absolutely appalling. We'll have to figure out what happened there. But as a result of that, where's Nelson King gone? Nelson King is right down in the bottom of the fray here with the 27. So Nelson King has tumbled a long way down to 10th position. Reggie Dewey's down to 9th. But Luke Whitehead is down even further, down to 25th position. What a disaster again for Whitehead. This is completely not the season he wanted to be having. But it looks like it's going to be Lewis Thompson who hangs on after all of that and takes the victory. Alex Lloyd is right there with him. Lloyd is going to give him one final stab in the final turn. Is there going to be a last-minute change? Checkered flag flies. It is Thompson just in front of Lloyd from McQueen and Gilbert. Stevenson is 5th. Ravenscroft in 6th. And that means that the championship battle is now just a 2-point gap between Gilbert and Ravenscroft at the top of the table. My goodness, this is getting tight. Reed in 7th, Beerman in 8th place, Reggie Dewey in 9th position, and Nelson King in 10th position. Rattigan and Gray, Ellswood and Mead, Pritchard, Williams and Heading, then it's Edgar, Laflamme, Hawthorne, White, Whitehead in a very disappointing 21st. Hudson is 22nd from Pinsent, Meir, Lay, Bolger, Scusa, Hunt, Sananetti, and Alex Moody. And the only consolation really for Luke Whitehead is that Dragon Pinson also lost ground, but that has dropped Whitehead down to 5th in the driver's standings with a victory from Lewis Thompson, putting him up into 4th place. So, very dramatic first final of the weekend from Junior X30, but congratulations to Lewis Thompson. A brilliant effort there and a fantastic victory for the Jade Racing driver. Valiant performance there from Lewis Thompson, but the championship battle between Lewis Gilbert and Clayton Ravenscroft is now just 2 points in Gilbert's favour. So this is going to be a very exciting second final with the Honda Cadet final Honda Cadet Final 1 coming up next. Things are getting very interesting here at Shenington, and not necessarily for the right reasons for everybody.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
Well, we've had the final one for Ayami Cadet. Let's now focus on Honda Cadet after their repechage earlier. It's been a really exciting start to the weekend with the 2 battlers for the championship who started their karting careers on exactly the same day at exactly the same track as they battled their way up the ranks of motor racing. Alfie Rigby versus Dan Ginchard. It has been an absolutely terrific battle in the championship with these two, who have been very sporting and very fair play, these two, all the way through the course of proceedings. They're good friends, they're good buddies, and they are now rivals as well, battling for the championship supremacy in the 2018 season. They're on the front row of the starting grid for this one. Alfie Rigby of the Oliver Rowland Motorsport team and Dan Ginchard for Global. A brilliant start to proceedings with these two this weekend, and they line up on the front row of the grid together. But the man behind them seems to be trying to steal all the headlines at the moment. Archie Walker on that second row of the grid. The leading rookie is right there, ready for his moment. And to be fair, that looks like it could be coming sooner rather than later. He's looking very strong this weekend. Ollie Greenall is right there in contention as well on the second row of the grid in 4th place. And then in 3rd row of the grid, the E-Plate, the first Scot to win and then run the E-Plate in this class, Honda Cadet, Tristan Rennie, who's had a very strong performance over the course of this weekend. He's been very solid and consistent throughout, and his position on the 3rd row of the grid is very worthy. Alongside him on the grid is the Japanese driver, Kia Nakamura-Berta, who is having an absolutely terrific performance this weekend and looking very strong. He's very close to that top step of the podium this time, so let's see if he can get there. On the 4th row, it is Ethan Simmons and Ryan Willis. On the 5th row, it is Sonny Smith and Marcus Luzio. And then on the 6th row, it is the man who is leading the Honda Cadet Club Championship here at Shenington, Dan Parent-Smith. Alongside him on the grid is the privateer Theo Makuris, who really had a difficult day at the office yesterday. A couple of moments where things didn't quite go according to plan, and now he finds himself down on the 6th row of the grid in 12th place. So a lot of work to do from Theo Makuris, the privateer. Jack Plant and Harley Horton are next in position on the 7th row. Neo Phipps and Sebastian Block, another man who was compromised by a post-race penalty, and that puts him down on the 8th row of the grid, playing catch-up. Leon Henderson and Mikai Singh on the 9th row from Lorenzo Cordell and Dan Holdsworth. Oliver Stewart, Mitchell Gibbons, Jack Clements, Ed Pearson, Sophie Kinghorn, Morris Henry, Jai Lawrence and Cruz Speakman. And then, of course, we've got those 6 drivers from the repechage earlier on who will join them on the starting grid as well. A really exciting battle from Honda Cadet is in the offing, particularly with these two at the front end of the grid, Alfie Rigby and Dan Ginchard, who have had an amazing start to the season, both of whom have won races, both of whom have risen to the occasion. Rigby, it was almost expected that he would be leading the championship at this point, but Dan Ginchard being 1 point behind him coming into this weekend, wow, that is a very pleasant and very impressive turn up for the books, and he's been absolutely fantastic in the first part of the season, and it just seems as though he is just getting started. I think there's a lot more to come from him as the season continues. Archie Walker in 3rd position, incredibly impressive this weekend. He just seems to be full of confidence at the moment. The kart is going well. He seems to be running well with it, and there's plenty more to come where that came from. So as the drivers get themselves ready for the off, then the gate will rise and the green flag will fly. And, of course, we'll get to see some great performances from the 6 drivers who bagged their places from the repechage. A great victory from Aidan Lyne, earlier on in proceedings. Great to see him make his place in the finals once again. And some great battles from the drivers in there behind as well. So it gets to noon bang on, and that's when the gate rises and the green flag flies, and the drivers will make their way to the standing start positions on the grid. And the 6 drivers behind Jay Lawrence and Cruz Speakman, who come in from the repechage, are, of course, Aidan Lyne, Max Solarski, Ollie Stevens, Jack Hobson, Alistair Cresswell, and Zico Hopkins-Collis. So as the drivers get themselves back into position, they will now obviously do their formation lap, and then they will take up their positions on the starting grid, where it'll be a standing start, the only class in the championship that does so. So they will obviously continue on their fantastic start to the season. Honda Cadet's been a really intriguing battle with these drivers as they continue to be at the sharp end of proceedings. And they will still give us plenty of great action, no doubt. So they come off the final turn, and they will be ready in position for the standing start once again. Rigby and Ginchard, Walker and Greenall, Rennie and Nakamura-Berta, Simmons, Willis, Smith, Luzio, Parent-Smith and Makuris. So lots to do and an awful lot to talk about as the drivers will get themselves neatly into position. But the races are obviously going to be very close from the start as they form up in position. And now we're waiting for the start to get underway. Drivers nice and quickly into position. We wait for the standing start, and they are away. And it's a good start from Ginchard and Rigby. It looks like it's going to be an even better start from Rigby, but up to second already. I think Archie Walker is going to slot in actually behind Ginchard, and they're going to immediately start to work together. So Rigby and Ginchard get a good getaway. First and second places, no problem at all. So it's a good start in early doors, and they've obviously wanted to make this one happen very quickly. So it's all gone very well from their point of view. They wanted to get a good start in proceedings, so now they have obviously made good headway. But there's plenty more to do, and they know of what is coming. They've obviously got an awful lot of work ahead of them, these guys, as they battle away for performance. Through that first lap, still plenty of great action on the horizon. So can the drivers get a clean lap out of the bag? It looks like they will. No major problems on that opening tour, as Rigby and Ginchard lead the way on this first lap, and they complete it without incident. Walker in third from Greenall, Nakamura Berta. Now, there's been a bit of a delay for Sonny Smith, who's dropped a long way down the order by the look of it. And what has happened to Sonny Smith? Has he come through? No, he has not. So Sonny Smith, it looks to me as though he might be the race's first retirement. So, unfortunately, I've not seen Sonny Smith come through. So, well, he's now gone through on the first sector. So there he is, back into position. My apologies. So he is still racing. It just a little bit of a blip on the timing screen for a moment. Rigby, Ginchard, Walker, Greenall, Nakamura Berta, Rennie, Willis, McCouris, Simmons, Luzio, Smith and Block. That's your top 12 at the moment. Jack Plant in there as well in 13th. So good opportunity there for plenty of the drivers to move their way forward. They come into the hairpin and then back onto the main straight once again, and the lead battle is already going to be very close. As into the lead comes Dan Ginchard. Ginchard's made the move and Walker's got through as well. Rigby is down in a 4th position. Greenall got through as well. So already Ginchard, Walker and Greenall have made their way further forward. Little rub of the grass there from the 94, but no major problems. But it's Ginchard from Walker, Greenall. Then it is Rigby, Nakamura Berta, Rennie, McCouris, Simmons, Smith and Willis. Sebastian Block is 11th from Luzio. Then it's Jack Plant in front of Oliver Stewart and Neo Phipps. So a really exciting start to proceedings. Lots of drivers making good progress in the early stages. As a couple more overtakes there through the Bruno chicane towards the back of the field. There's a couple of drivers making good progress. So as things currently stand, if it were to finish like this, then Dan Ginchard would take the lead of the Drivers' Championship by 4 points. So obviously it's a very important race for Ginchard if he can hang on to this one. But Greenall's come through in a second, Rigby's come through in a third. So that means that Rigby's only 2 points adrift of Ginchard's lead now. This is going to be such a close battle in the championship, isn't it? I can see this one going right the way down to the line. As there's been a contact, unfortunately, 2 carts have come off there at Cafe Corner. That is Morris Henry and Zico Hopkins Collis have ended up down the order. And Morris Henry was not happy with that one. So, unfortunately, the rookie has had... Oh, it looks like Max Solarski's been in trouble as well. So he's now down the order. He's still going, but it looks as though he's got plenty of time to make up. And so, too... has the 29. They're all dropping down. That's Jai Lawrence, who's had a bit of a scruffy lap there, unfortunately. So a lot of difficulties on that last lap as drivers are trying to jockey for position. And it looks like a lead change. That is Rigby through. Greenall through. Up the inside comes the 51. A very late lunge, and that's going to let Ginchard through past Greenall as well. That's Kier Nakamura Berta into 2nd position. Good bit of jostling in the lead here in Honda Cadet. Plenty to go. And just to give you an idea of how much that jostling means, that now means that if it finishes like this, Rigby would be on a 2-point advantage over Ginchard. So close, this championship battle. Make that a 4-point advantage, actually. So the battle is very, very tight indeed. Well, the racing's still incredibly close as they come through to the hairpin one more time. And the jockeying for the lead, very, very tight. So many drivers in contention in Honda Cadet. It's always really exciting to see how these guys battle away. They come across the line one more time. Is that going to be a lead change? No. Well covered and defended by Alfie Rigby. As up to 3rd comes Theo McCouris past Dan Ginchard. McCouris has made great progress. He's now there in 3rd position as they continue to jostle. So they come off the turn again. No major problems. And the drivers are still working very hard there on the far side. But Alfie Rigby... there's a stationary yellow now down at the Stratford hairpin. Stationary yellow at the Stratford hairpin. So, looks like somebody went off and now has come back on the circuit. So, another driver may well be tumbling down the order. We'll have a look at it. Dan Ginchard's had a slow 2nd sector. So, I wonder if that's Ginchard who's actually fallen down the order quite considerably there. That's a real shame if he has. We'll have to look as they come across the line this time by. But it is the lead for Rigby, and he's got a bit of a breathing space now between himself and Nakamura Berta. Yes, Ginchard is down to 10th. So Ginchard is having to fight his way back from B10 now, with assistance from Sebastian Block, no doubt. So this is going to be a really intense battle, I can assume, as the drivers continue to scrap away. But there's plenty more racing to do from these guys in Honda Cadet, as we're still 6 minutes and 12 seconds plus the additional lap on the clock. So it's a long way to go as Ginchard just following in behind Sebastian Bloch at the moment. But it's Rigby in the lead from Nakamura Berta. Half a second is the gap, and it looks like Alfie Rigby's going to get a sizable advantage now on Ginchard, with Oliver Greenall looking set to tie with Sebastian Bloch on points if the race were to finish in this position, but I don't think it's going to. I think we've still got quite a long way to go, as Nakamura Berta has got right onto the back of Rigby. Third place now is the 91. That's a good pass from Archie Walker to get himself back in a position. Theo Makuris has slipped back into 6th place now. So it's Walker, Greenall and Tristan Rennie in the top 5, with Makuris in 6th from Simmons, Stewart, Bloch and Ginchard. Lucio is in 11th place from Willis. Then it's Cordell, Jack Plant, Ed Pearson, Phipps, Horton, Singh, Clements, Smith, Gibbons, Line, Hobson and Parron Smith. A really exciting tussle at the moment in Honda Cadet as the battles continue to change all around the circuit. Lots of great tussles. So our race leaders are in the hairpin, Rigby and Nakamura Berta. So can the Japanese driver, can Nakamura-san get himself into first position? He's going to try and make a move on Rigby, but Rigby holds to cover that inside line at Park Bend. The more they do that, though, the more they back themselves into the battle for third. Walker, Greenall and Rennie working very hard, as Bloch and Ginchard have now got themselves in front of Oliver Stewart. So that's up to 8th and 9th they go. They lead their current train, and they will be trying to fight their way forward. Bloch and Ginchard on the comeback charge. 4.5 minutes plus 1 additional lap in the battle for the victory, as Nakamura decides to go with Alfie Rigby at the front of the field, and they are battling. A bit of a mistake there from Archie Walker as Oliver Greenall very nearly gets a chance to overtake him down into Hanger Corner. But Sebastian Bloch and Dan Ginchard are in unison now as they work together to close in on the top 7. So let's see how this works out. They come down the straight, over the line once again, and Rigby and Nakamura still battling away for the victory. Third position, that is Archie Walker in front of Oliver Greenall and Tristan Rennie. Theo Makuris in 6th place. 7th is the 23, still going strong, of Ethan Simmons. Bloch and Dan Ginchard in 9th from Stewart, Cordell, Pearson, Lucio, Plant, Phipps, Horton, Willis, Smith and Clements. Mitchell Gibbons, by the way, rounding out the top 20, trying to find his way forward and trying to capture the same sort of pace that he unlocked yesterday. Jack Hobson, by the way, who was in the repechage earlier, has made up 10 places and is now in P22. So some good racing from various parts of the field. But let's see how it all continues on as the drivers come out of the far side of the hairpin once again. Still battling away, these two, Rigby and Nakamura, as they come across the line. And with 3 minutes and 13 plus the additional lap, it's still going to be very tight between these guys, and they know it. Nakamura just sensing an opportunity potentially to go for an overtaking move. They come out of the Cafe Corner hairpin and back up the straight towards Stratford hairpin once more. So some good driving in the midfield as well. Lots of drivers making up positions. Oliver Stewart's up 11 places. Ed Pearson's up 13. Jack Hobson's made up 12 in total. So some good work there from the drivers in the repechage. But up in the lead of the race, it is still Rigby versus Nakamura. The top 6 well clear, as Bloch and Ginchard have now dealt with Ethan Simmons, and they are now through in a 7th and 8th place. Have they got enough time to catch up to the top 6 now? It looks like the two drivers there are going to start from the 4th row of the grid for the second final, which is not really where they wanted to be. But there's still time to go. So let's see how it all works out. The leader, Rigby, in front of Nakamura. It's 2 by 2, hurrah, as Makuris makes the move on Tristan Rennie. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8 at the moment in the leaders, as the battle between Makuris and Rennie has been settled for the moment in Makuris' favour, but Tristan Rennie is going to be trying to fight back pretty quickly. The leaders come through, and it's still Rigby versus Nakamura. Is there going to be a change of position soon? Not yet, and certainly they're under some pressure now, as Ollie Greenall is helping Archie Walker to close up on the leading two. Makuris and Rennie seeming to do likewise. If these 6 start battling, then it's not going to be long before Bloch and Ginchard get themselves back in contention. But it's all going to be about how much time there is left to do anything about it. As things currently stand, Rigby has a 12-point lead over Ginchard in the championship. So it's not game over yet for Ginchard by a long, long way. Block is back in a third place from Greenall and Makuris, with Nakamura set to move up into 6th position in the standings if he can remain in 2nd place. So that would definitely help him out a little bit in his championship campaign. Tristan Rennie would break into the top 10 in front of Jack Clements if he can remain in his top 6 position as well. And very little room to manoeuvre as the 33 goes 4 wheels on the grass through there. That's Alistair Cresswell having a good battle with Leon Henderson, but running out of road and not willing to give up the space. He puts all 4 wheels off the circuit there. So, goodness me, Cresswell pushing very hard. Now the leaders come through out of the bottom hairpin once again. They're going to come onto the home straight with 42 seconds left on the clock. So this is the penultimate lap now they're going into in the Honda Cadet Final 1. Can Alfie Rigby hang on in front of Nakamura? 3rd position for Archie Walker. 4th place for Ollie Greenall. Then it's Theo Makuris and Tristan Rennie. Then still Block and Ginchard. It looks like they're going to end up in 7th and 8th place. So they'll still have a chance to fight back in the second final. But the 4th row is not where they wanted to start from. So as they come up to the chicane once again at Bruno chicane, Rigby and Nakamura still lead the way with potential for Walker and Greenall to catch them, but they are running out of time to do it. So down the back straight, no change for the lead yet. Is Nakamura going to sense his moment of pouncer to the hairpin? Surely they're going to go into the final lap this time by. So surely is Nakamura going to sense his opportunity. He needs to do it sooner rather than later. He'll want to catch Rigby out if he gets an opportunity. Nakamura's going to try for it. Rigby's going to hold on to the inside line. Nakamura's one wide and has had to come straight back across in the hope that Archie Walker doesn't come through. Walker runs wide, Greenall's through, Makuris is going to try and get through as well, and he has. And Tristan Rennie's now going to get the run in. Oh, 23, Ethan Simmons runs on the grass out of Cafe Corner as well. Drivers pushing very hard there. But out in front it is still Alfie Rigby, who hung on there in front of Nakamura. But up to 2nd position has come... No, is that is still Nakamura, in fact, in 2nd place. But it's Archie Walker who's lost ground down to 5th position behind Greenall and Makuris. And the final charge down to the final hairpin is going to be very close indeed as they continue to charge forward. But the checkered flag is ready to fly for Alfie Rigby, who's defended valiantly in the lead of the race and takes a very important victory in his title campaign. Alfie Rigby wins the first final of the weekend from Nakamura. Greenall in 2nd from Archie Walker in front of Makuris and Rennie. So Archie Walker just manages to beat Theo Makuris to the line. And that's good enough for 4th position for Archie Walker. Block is 7th. Ginchard is a very unfortunate 8th place there. 9th position for Edward Pearson and 10th place for Lorenzo Cordell. 15 places made up from Ed Pearson in that race. Great to see him back in the top 10 where he belongs. Jack Plant had a good run there as well, fighting back to 11th. Oliver Stewart to 12th. Then Ethan Simmons in 13th from Harley Horton. Mitchell Gibbons and Jack Hobson. Sonny Smith in 17th from Dan Parent-Smith, Mackay Singh, Jack Clements, Ryan Willis and Dan Holdsworth, with Marcus Luzio, Neo Phipps, Aidan Line, Leon Henderson, Sophie Kinghorn, Alistair Cresswell, Cruz Speakman, Ollie Stevens, Morris Henry, and then the final 3, Zico Hopkins-Collis, Maximilian Solarski and Jai Lawrence. And despite a few slip-ups, everybody finished the race and on the lead lap as well. Really exciting from the Honda Cadets. They gave us some pretty exciting battles there. And as a result of that race, Alfie Rigby now has a 12-point lead in the championship for Honda Cadet over Dan Ginchard. Sebastian Block is 3rd, just a single point now ahead of Oliver Greenall, with Theo Makuris 7 points back. Nakamura is 6 points behind him, with Sonny Smith 11 points adrift. Archie Walker is now in 8th place in the championship still, but Tristan Rennie has broken into 9th place and into the top 10 in front of Jack Clements. Really exciting racing for the Honda Cadets. Junior TKM is up next with Abby Pulling, starting from pole position.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
So with the Honda Cadets done and dusted for the moment, they'll be back for their second final later on. We now turn our attentions to the Junior TKM. It's Abby Pulling and Connor Kearney who'll be on the front row of that starting grid, and it's going to be really exciting to see how they can battle their way forward. Connor Kearney in particular has been really, really strong for the Tim Wilson Motorsport team this weekend. Great to see him at the sharp end, fighting his corner every single opportunity he gets. He seems to run away and hide with it. Great to see him at the sharp end, and now his best chance of the 2018 season to cap a victory in Junior TKM is staring him in the face. Abby Pulling's a tough one to beat, but if anyone's going to do it this weekend, it's looking likely that it's Connor Kearney who's going to have the best shot. And then we have behind them on the grid Zach Oates, the E-plate, who is there in third position, looking for a great opportunity here once again. Had a very busy day at the office yesterday, and good to see him on the second row alongside Oliver Richardson, who's had a really strong weekend here at Junior TKM thus far as well, coming into this first final with plenty of confidence, and that top 4 position very well deserved. Aston Wigley and Harry Yardley Rose gave us plenty of battles yesterday. Great to see the two Virulence chassis there filling up the third row of the grid, and both of them very much in the wars yesterday with some great overtaking moves, some great racecraft, and good to see them in the top 6. And both of them have earned the right to be there. Now they've got to continue that form and earn the right to stay there. Ben Watson in fourth position, fourth row of the grid, I should say, sorry. Ben Watson 7th on the grid, and alongside him the ever impressive Morgan Kidd, who just keeps getting better every single weekend, and I still think would be in the top 10 of the point standings had it not been for that nasty trip into the barriers at Lark Hall at the start of the season. So to see her in 8th position on the starting grid for this one truly shows the kind of quality that we are going to see from Morgan Kidd today. And then the 5th row of the grid sees the drivers battling for the championship. Dan Butterworth and Spencer Stevenson having a very difficult weekend thus far. They've now got themselves into position to come back and challenge again, but there's a lot of work to do. Then in 11th place comes the man who is leading the club championship in Junior TKM, Jack Nicholson, who is having a very good season here at Shenington and is using that to good advantage here in the Super 1 National Championships. Scott Smith, the leading privateer from his particular brigade, is there in 6th row of the grid alongside him, 12th on the grid. Archie Strong and Alex Page are together on the 7th row from Max Davies and Ben Higgins. Zach Taylor lines up beside Will Orton on the right row of the grid. Then Joe Harrison and Jensen Davis, Dan McKeown and Ethan Newsham, Oliver Stratford, Louis Harvey, Dominic Kilmister and Harry Arthur. That's a very talented grid of drivers, an incredible array of performers, and it's going to be very tough to call who is going to get the victory in this first final. From the front of the grid, Pulling is in fine form as she has always been in Junior TKM. Runner-up in the title in 2016, champion last year, going for back-to-back titles in 2018. But Connor Kearney has risen to the occasion beautifully this weekend for the TWM squad, and they have got themselves a very hard charger in Connor Kearney. This could be the weekend where it all comes together, oh so sweet for him, and he knows what he's got to do. The gate goes up, the green flag flies, and it's time to go racing in the Junior TKM Final 1. So as the drivers leave the dummy grid and head out onto the circuit for their rolling lap, it's going to be a really exciting battle. So far, Abby Pulling very much in contention to keep the championship lead here and extend the gap to Dan Butterworth and Spencer Stevenson. Coming into this round, she had a decent advantage already. The way things have currently made their way through, she has taken an advantage. Oh, who's that in the grid in trouble? Someone in the dummy grid has not got away. Now, that looks like someone at the sharp end. That's the 33 that's stuck in the pits. Now, that is Max Davies. Max Davies for the Klassen team is stuck in the pits with a problem. And it looks to me as though they're not going to be able to make the start of the race. That is a disaster for poor Max Davies, totally not of his own accord. But a mechanical problem means that he could well be starting the race from the back of the grid at best. He could well be starting this race from the pits if they get him going. But the race is started out front. Oh, wait a minute. No, they're sending them round again. They are sending them round again. Max Davies has got a second chance. Oh, thank goodness. If they can get the engine started, then Max Davies has got a chance. But it looks like it's not going to happen. Oh, cruel fate for Max Davies. And he kicks the kart in frustration. Oh, that is agony for Max Davies with a great opportunity to get some good points in the bag here at Shenington. Things have been going great so far. But Max Davies rather frustratedly kicks the kart in fury as he is absolutely at the edge of his patience now. They're going to try and get the kart started again, but it looks like the best Max Davies can hope for realistically is to start the race from the pit lane at the very best. But I don't even think that is going to be a possibility now. It looks to me as though Davies will have to start the second final from the back of the grid. That is heartbreaking. Well, not a lot that can be done about it now, sadly, and unfortunately, there is no second chance this time as the race this time does get underway and Abby Pulling gets a good start. No, they're going to go round again. Yes, they are going to go round again. That was not a good start. So they're going to go round another time, but there's somebody who's going slowly on the formation lap. There is somebody going very slowly coming into the pit. Is that Spencer Stevenson? That is Spencer Stevenson in trouble. So Spencer Stevenson's got a mechanical problem. He's crawling around the formation lap. And it looks to me as though Spencer Stevenson, has ended up down the order. If he can get himself back into a decent position around the formation lap, then it's not too big a problem. But, I think he's all right, actually. I think Spencer Stevenson, on the way to the grid, had a big difficulty. Oh, poor Max Davies down in the pit. Beside himself with anger and dismay. What can you do? So angry, and I completely understand. A great opportunity here at Shenington, snatched away from him with mechanical problems. That's devastating when you know you've done nothing wrong and you've got it all right, and then something on the kart fails. Well, Max Davies, unfortunately, very hard to console at the moment as the race does get away this time, and Abby Pulling hits the front straight away from Connor Kearney. Zach Oates is going straight into the battle with Aston Wigley for third position, and there's a couple of them further down the order with problems, and the 74 is pulling off now with mechanical problems. That's Louis Harvey. That's the other Klassen car. Unbelievable cruel fate for the team there. First Max Davies, and now Louis Harvey. Wow, you couldn't script it. That is absolutely unbelievable bad luck. So both karts in jeopardy. Max Davies out of the race, and now his teammate Louis Harvey as well. What a nightmare race this is for Klassen Motorsport. Just unbelievable. Wow, out front, Abby Pulling leads the way. Connor Kearney in second to Wigley and Zach Oates. Fifth position, the 94 of Ben Watson. He's keeping the Klassen Motorsport name flying towards the front end. Dan Butterworth in sixth, Strong is seventh from Nicholson, Taylor and Higgins. So now the lone ranger of a Klassen Motorsport is the man in fifth position, Ben Watson, the rookie. He's the leading rookie in the race, and he's still trying to find his corner. But for Davies and Harvey, it is just cruel luck that has robbed them of a chance of a decent result. And I think the pair of them finally have another thing to have in common, rather what they didn't want, unfortunately. Cruel luck for the Klassen Motorsport team. You couldn't have predicted that. Well, Pulling leads the way still from Kearney and Wigley. A great start from Aston Wigley. Up to fifth place now comes the 13. That is a cracking move there on the inside of Cafe from Archie Strong, who's getting on with this and has already made up 7 places. Dan Butterworth has made up 2 already as well. Now, what has happened to Spencer Stevenson, the 12? He is down at the back. So Spencer Stevenson again having problems. And there's a stationary yellow at Stratford Hairpin by the look of it. So there's more trouble down the order. So Spencer Stevenson's had a problem. And there is a stationary yellow on the way down to Stratford. So somebody's not come around. I think it's Joe Harrison. Joe Harrison is not coming around this time by. So unfortunately, that is game over for Joe Harrison for the Precision Racing team. Meanwhile, Connor Kearney has lost second place to Aston Wigley. And now Ben Watson. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Red flags now, so red flags. So the race is going to be stopped. The race is going to be stopped now. So I'm afraid that is all guns blazing for the... now, the big question is now, with this red flag on lap 4, is there going to be... Well, I'm not entirely sure what the situation is going to be now. So the race is going to be red flag. The drivers are going to be stopped on the start-finish straight, I gather. But the driver out of the race and the cause of the red flag is Joe Harrison for Precision Racing. So I'm not entirely sure what the problem is. But it looks to me as though there's still a problem. Now, what this means is, thinking about this, we've got 3 laps of the race done. So I think we may get a fresh restart. Now, if we get a fresh restart, then that would throw a get-out-of-jail-free card to the Klassen Motorsport team drivers, Louis Harvey and Max Davies. If they decide to do a full restart, then they have another chance. And there's going to be quite a wait for this one by the look of it, because we've got the medical teams down there to assist Joe Harrison. So we'll have a look at the incident. And I think at this point we'll take a pause in proceedings under the red flag conditions. And we'll return to it when we get an opportunity to. But for the moment, we'll just allow the medical teams to do their work. But if the race is going to get a full restart, then those two drivers, Louis Harvey and Max Davies, could get a second chance. But we're under red flag conditions at the moment. The medical team is down there at the scene, so we'll let them go through the protocols. But we're under red flag conditions in the Junior TKM Final 1 here at Shenington.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.